To President George W. Bush and Fox News contributor Karl Rove in New York. Karl, great to see you. I'm sorry I'm missing you in New York this morning.
Well, I wish you were here because I don't in fact, it's dangerous. There's a handwritten banner back here in the back saying "Mornings with Dagan." I don't know what that's all about. I mean, it's...
Are you starting trouble this morning? First thing
she was talking about cutting the signal to Toronto. I don't know. I just
Ottawa, really?
Rove,
Ottawa. All right.
Let me ask you, Karl, a lot of fireworks yesterday, but I want to start with trade. We've got the USMCA one step closer to ratification, we imagine, given the fact that the vice president will meet with the prime minister today. What's your expectation in terms of Nancy Pelosi bringing that to the floor for a vote? Well,
look, having been through a couple of trade battles with Nancy Pelosi as Speaker in 2007 and 2008, she's not going to be easy about this. She's going to drag it out. I know the administration is putting the pressure on, hoping to get this done by the August recess. I wouldn't be surprised to see it brought up this fall, well after the August recess, and maybe not even then. Look, she's got two issues here. One is a political problem. She does not want to pass USMCA with a small number of Democrats. She wants this thing to be big numbers of Republicans and big numbers of Democrats if they're going to do it at all, which means that they're going to need some things on labor and environment to bring along the Democratic left. She does not want to have, 50 Democrats or 60 Democrats and 190 Republicans pass this, because it will then give opportunity for people in the left of the Democratic Party to hammer some of the centrists on which her majority depends. The other thing is she doesn't want to give President Trump a victory. Let's be honest about it. She'd prefer not to. She knows how important this is, however, to the country. She'll ultimately, I think, bring it up for a vote, but not until she's assured that there are a large number of Democrats ready to vote for it.
Because I think that if she were to bring it to the floor, it would pass. It would get the votes. You've got a lot of Democrats representing states that are actually going to see an impact on manufacturing. Darrell Issa says that it's 100,000 jobs that could be cut on the table if this doesn't go through.
Yeah.
So is she willing to take that chance with all of the jobs at stake?
Oh, sure, because she doesn't get blamed for it. When the economy is bad, the President of the United States gets blamed for it, not the Speaker of the House. But you're right. If you take a look at states with Democrats like Texas and Arizona and New Mexico and Florida and Michigan, the Democrats in those states are going to be, either because of the auto industry or because of the trade with Mexico, they're going to be mostly in favor of this. And you take those states alone and match them with 185, 190 Republicans who would vote for this, and you'd have 218. But again, she doesn't want to bring it up unless she's got a larger number of Democrats willing to support it.
Well, she's got now the aluminum and steel tariffs have been lifted on Canada and Mexico. The president did that. You're also talking about Mexico looking at this, trying to make sure that they address the labor issues. Do you think all of that is on track? I mean, or are there things that she can actually push back on in terms of the labor practices?
Well, the administration is very adroitly pulling the obstacles out of the way. She was able to point to the steel and labor tariffs. She was raising issues about the Mexicans and labor provisions, and the Mexican government has said, "Hey, we're on board with this. We're comfortable. We're happy with it. You should be too." So, step by step, the administration is removing the obstacles to voting for it. But again, it's a political calculation, two political calculations. Are there going to be a large number of Democrats, and do we really want to give the president a victory?
All right, so you think at a minimum this doesn't come to the floor until the fall, because the vice president wants this ratified by the end of the summer.
Yeah.
That's what he's calling for, and we're going to talk about that later in my interview. Let me stay on trade, because the founder of Bridgewater Associates, this is Ray Dalio, issued a warning over the U.S.-China trade tensions. He wrote this: "As someone in these negotiations wisely said, history shows that countries in conflict have seen that such conflicts can easily slip beyond their control and become terrible wars that all parties, including the leaders who got their countries into them, deeply regretted." Right now, we're seeing brinksmanship negotiations, so it is a risky time. Your reaction to what's taken place so far with China? I spoke with Secretary Pompeo this week, and he's been out and about talking to our friends in Europe, our friends across the world, as well as in the U.S., trying to stress the national security issues around China. It's not just an economic story.
Yeah, he's been particularly concerned about Huawei and been very pointed in his comments about that. And look, Mr. Dalio has got a great deal of expertise in this part of the region. I'm not certain I share the concern that we're on the brink of war, but we are on the brink of some very severe economic consequences, both for the Chinese and for the United States. And they apparently were close to a deal, and then the Chinese stepped back. That's not a good sign. And then we are also seeing a rising number of complaints by American companies who export to China or who import items from China that are critical to their finished product, who are complaining about non-tariff obstacles to trade. They're getting more inspections, and they're having holdups at the border, and they have to keep their goods in warehouses, and they're not able to get them to market, and there are complaints about this and that, and the elements of their shipments rejected. So the Chinese are playing hardball beneath the surface. It's one thing to be obvious and in the clear by, raising a tariff or refusing to allow a certain good to be brought in. It's another thing to make it really, really difficult to import the several $100 billion that we import into China every year.
Karl, real quick before I switch gears, your reaction to what Mueller said yesterday.
Well, the Democrats were desperately hoping that he would say something different and new and more expansive than he said in his report, and he didn't. And if you're Nancy Pelosi, you got 41 Democrats and 1 Republican who are saying impeachment. She knows that the impeachment is a political disaster for them. New Harvard-Harris poll, 65% of Americans oppose impeachment. Large number of Democrats support it, but large majorities of independents and almost every Republican oppose it. This is a loser for her. They wanted Mueller to come out and say something more expansive. He didn't. But the pressure is going to continue to build in our caucus. Nancy Pelosi is torn between the progressive left of her party, which wants to impeach, and the political reality that she has a majority in the House because a bunch of red districts flipped blue, and she knows that this could cost her her majority.
Well, he certainly took it to the edge as far as he could take it, didn't he? I mean, But by saying, look, if we thought that the president did not commit a crime, we would have said so.
Well, he said that in his report. So I mean, there's really nothing new there. They were hoping for something new, and they didn't get it. I'm sure there's a gnashing of teeth in Jerry Nadler's office today, and Adam Schiff is in mourning, having hoped that Mueller would somehow or another come out and say indict, 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 impeach, impeach, impeach. Didn't say.
That's right. Karl, great stuff.